In this video, we will be looking at the basic functions of the InnoCielo Global Collaboration Framework. This video assumes that you already have a basic understanding of how to use the InnoCielo client application. If not, please view the video tutorial on InnoCielo Client Basics before continuing with this one. For this demonstration, we will be simulating a company that has a site in Amsterdam and Seattle. The vaults that are being used are identical in configuration. However, the Seattle vault contains no documents to begin with. The reason for this is to allow us to demonstrate more clearly exactly what is happening with the documents. It is also important to closely follow which vault we are currently working in throughout this video, because the vaults are so similar. You can see which vault is currently open by looking at the status bar at the bottom of the application window. It is also important to note that the standard functionality is being used to create this video tutorial. Property pages and design may differ in your situation, but the functionality will largely remain the same. We will be starting with the Amsterdam vault that contains all of the documents. For the first demonstration, a single document will be transferred to the Seattle vault. First, we select the document we wish to send to the Seattle vault. Now we switch to the Collaboration Status tab in the Document Properties section. What we see here is the current global collaboration status of the document. The list contains a single site, which in this case is Amsterdam. It shows the revision status for that site, an email address of the owner, and the owning site. Just under the list of collaborating sites are a number of buttons. These buttons will be explained as we cover their functions throughout the video. In order to actually collaborate with another site, we must first enlist the desired site. To do so, we press the Enlist GCF Vault button. This brings up a new dialog that will allow us to select the site with which we want to collaborate. At the top of the dialog is a drop-down box containing all possible sites for collaboration. In this case, only one site can be chosen, and that is the Seattle site. Next, we must define when the collaboration will take place. It can be either on schedule, which is a predefined time, or immediately. The actual transfer of the documents between the enlisted vaults happens behind the scenes at scheduled intervals, so to accommodate this video tutorial, all actions will be done using the immediate setting. Next, we can choose to transfer the ownership of the document we are working with if we like. For this example, we will be transferring ownership at a later time. It is only possible for one site to have ownership of a document at any given time. This is to prevent the document from being edited in more than one location at the same time. The final section we can fill in here is the notification section. We have the ability to notify a user of the document transfer. To do so, we can either type the email address in manually or click on this Browse button to get a list of all email addresses known to this vault. We can also add a small text message that will be included in the email to the chosen user. Once we press the OK button, the transfer cycle will be started. If we now refresh the navigation view in the Power User client, we can see that the information shown on the Collaboration Status tab is updated to reflect the change in collaboration. Note that the document is not yet found on the Seattle site, as the transfer cycle still needs to take place. Let us assume that the transfer cycle is now complete. Let's switch to the Seattle site and see what is happening with the document. As you can see, the document is currently locked. As previously mentioned, documents can only be edited on one site at a time. And earlier, we chose not to transfer ownership of the document during the initial site enlistment. Also note the Collaboration Status tab here on the Seattle site. Under the Ownership section of the property page, we can see that the Claim button has become available. If we switch back to the Amsterdam site and view the Ownership section of the Collaboration Status tab, we can see that the Lock and Transfer buttons have become available. Let's cover each button now. Here on the Amsterdam site, we have two options regarding the ownership of this document. Firstly, we can choose to lock the ownership. This means that no one else can attempt to claim ownership from another site if the document is in collaboration. The other option we have here is to transfer the ownership of the document to one of the collaboration sites, which we will do now. When we press the transfer button, a new dialog appears, allowing us to select the site we would like to transfer ownership to. Once again, we can notify a user via email with a small text message. Once the transfer cycle has taken place, we see a change in the Amsterdam vault. The document is now locked, and the only option we have for ownership is to try and claim it. If we switch to the Seattle vault, we also see a change. The document is no longer locked for Seattle and can be edited at will. Let's see what happens when we lock the ownership in Seattle and attempt to claim ownership in the Amsterdam vault. First, we lock the ownership in the Seattle vault as seen here. Now we switch to the Amsterdam site and press the Claim button. We are presented with a dialog stating that the ownership has been locked manually. Let us now assume that we would like to retrieve the latest version of the document on the Amsterdam site. We are unaware of what has happened to the document on the Seattle site, but we would like to review its progress. To do this, we simply click on the Get button under the Latest Revision section. This function will automatically request the latest version from the Seattle site, and the document will be received during the next transfer cycle. Alternatively, we can choose to distribute the document from the site that currently has ownership. Before we do that, however, let's make a simple visible change to the document. Let's add a simple rectangle to the document. Once it has been saved, we return to the Power User client and release the document from its workflow. Now we press the Distribute Now button, and the latest version will be sent to any sites that have been unlisted for collaboration. We can see this by switching once more to the Amsterdam site. If we refresh the document, we can see the change in the viewer. The final section of this tab is the Remarks section. You can see if some action is pending for the currently selected document. That sums up the basics of the InnoCielo Global Collaboration Framework. You can also find information on using the Global Collaboration Framework in the provided documentation. Thanks for watching.